Hello and welcome to the Animation Industry Podcast. My name is Terry, and I mentioned in a recent episode it was my birthday, and a whole bunch of you reached out and wished me a happy birthday, which was totally unexpected but very sweet, so thank you so much. Today I'm chatting with Marcos Meson, who is one of the founders of FlipaClip, a 2D animation app, and actually the app that got me into 2D animation to begin with in the first place. Myself. In our chat, he's going to share how he started FlipaClip with his brothers as a side project and grew it into the app we all know and love today. He's also going to share what it was like building the company from scratch, how he's created a very involved international animation community, including a very heart-touching story that made me shed a few tears, and their plans for the future. But first, this episode is brought to you by Arcane, the acclaimed Netflix animated TV series that is for your consideration in 2 Emmy Award nominated categories: Outstanding Animated Program and Outstanding Sound Editing for a Comedy or Drama Series in Animation. Arcane is produced by Riot Games in partnership with Fortiche Production and is the winner of 9 Annie Awards, the most of any TV series or film this year. Now, without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, Marcos. How are you doing?
Great, Terry. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Yeah, I'm super happy to talk with you, especially because you have specifically influenced my animation journey. A little story is I applied to Sheridan College for animation, and I specifically didn't want to go if it was going to be hand-drawn animation. And the year that I applied, they switched everything to digital, and I hired a tutor to help me out, and he was trying to get me to do like hand-drawn with a light. So I bought like a light board and like everything, and like I just hated it. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do digital. So I went on my iPad, I found FlipaClip, and my animation that got me I got a perfect mark in it and it helped me get accepted, was a clown character waiting for the bus. The bus goes by and then he does like a run cycle after the bus off the screen. So here we are.
Oh man, yeah, thank you. It's so cool. We always hear like amazing stories, and I'm glad that was an inspiration for you to get started. But
yeah. I'm actually very thankful because I had no clue what I was like. I had never drawn hand-drawn animation on any app whatsoever. I actually downloaded Toon Boom like a month before, and it was so overwhelming. I tried tutorials. I use Toon Boom now, but I tried tutorials. Yeah. I just gave up, and then FlipaClip came, and I actually downloaded every single animation app that I could find on the App Store, and yours was the easiest. And
you did great. You did great research, and you tried it. Yeah, and that's a
and
good
you're not
thing.
even paying me to say this.
No, we're not. And in fact, I will go even further. Is that's the beauty that you found something to inspire and get you started, and now you're in Toon Boom, which is like amazing. Then you're just more professional. And obviously, I love the stuff that you create. Your mix of stop motion and animation. I think that's super good.
Well, it's funny. Like a lot of potential Sheridan students always reach out to me every September when the portfolios come around. They're like, "What's an easy app to use?" And I always say FlipaClip. So here we are, and here we are talking. Okay, so maybe give me some. Maybe give me some stats on FlipaClip, because you started it 2012?
Yeah.
So in the 10 years that it's been around, how much has it grown as an app?
Yeah, it's grown crazy. So what year did you download that? Can we put a year, or can we say how many years ago you got the
It was 2017, I believe.
Okay.
I did it.
So that year is the year that I moved full-time with the company. But before then, and you would understand, and I think most people will understand this, that you don't just start at a company and you're suddenly the owner or something like that. You start your way up there. And so in 2017, I finally made the plunge to say, okay, I'm going in with my wife and 3 kids.
Wow.
And so, but it's been like just continued to grow, and it's been word of mouth. So that's been great. So today, FlipaClip has a little bit over 6 million active users per month, which is crazy. Like even my kids tell me like, that's crazy, Dad, do you know what that means? Like, and they give me like comparisons of things, but it's just really neat to see that we're just creating a super basic tool, and where people take it is just amazing. So Yeah, I always use the concept of, and maybe I'm putting how old I am here, but there used to be a show called MacGyver. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but you did whatever you could with whatever you have around you. And that's basically my life growing into this, into getting to this position.
So tell me, okay, so let's roll it back even further. Why did you, so you're in motion graphics and design and doing that kind of stuff. Why did you, with you and your two brothers, right, Tim and Jonathan,
and
why did you decide to create this app in the first place? Like, you weren't working for like Disney and being like, I wish there was an easy way to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so it started as a fun thing. So when I was younger, I started when VHS cameras were out. Okay, so in the late 90s. And so I would like make little movies, and then I wanted animation. There was no such thing as a computer like program. Like at the time, I think it was some other thing from Hollywood.
Like Corel
like
Draw or something. That's what I was using. And like,
well, I used PowerPoint. My first animations were PowerPoint. Dude, I was awesome. I actually did like animation with text, and then that will be my opening and putting photos, and then go into the video and making like some weird transitions. We would also make like some stop motions with Lego. So right. Jonah is my partner, co-founder, and he's the one that came up with the idea with FlipaClip. And so he kind of saw what I was doing, and then he started making more stop motion videos. Fast forward, childhood, growing up a little bit, which we're still growing up. My brother had, him and we were always wanting to work together because he's very analytical and super inventive, and I'm more on the creative side too, but not so crazy like, the left brain. And so we were working on an app called See Alive, which is a radio app. And that was one of the first radio apps on Android. And like you driving and you can hear music on your device. That was crazy. So he built this together and we worked together on it, put crazy hours while I was having a full-time job. Don't we all do that? Like we try to start something while we have a full-time job. But that was the beauty. And then 2012, a contest by Samsung, they were releasing their new phone, the Note. That was the first stylus that was coming out. Yeah. That was like the first phone ever with the stylus. And they're like, hey, we want people to come and compete. So my brother came in and he tells me about it. I'm like sweating, like blood tears. And I was just working crazy with full-time job, plus redesigning the app for the audio app that we were doing. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. Like, we don't have time to do this. He's like, but it was like $100,000 price. I'm like, oh man, well, I don't know. So my younger brother, Tim, went in from like, I think he was just graduating from high school, or he was still in high school, and he got him to start coding also. So my brother, Jonathan, is the lead developer besides being the CEO and all those big names. So they worked together for a month, and that's how FlipaClip was created, within a month. Wow. And then at the end, I saw what they created. I'm like, oh man, that's kind of crappy. Like it needs a little bit more user friendliness to it. So I went in and like added some things and kind of beginning on the UX and UI stuff. At the time, I didn't know that's what it was called, but I was playing around. And so we got something, submitted it. We did not win the first prize, but we got the honorable mention. And I think it was like $2,000 or something like that. But hey, the thing is, Jonah was like, you know what? And Jonathan, we call him Jonah actually. He submitted it to the Google Play. At the time, it was like Google Android or whatever. Submitted it, and then it stayed there sleeping. And then it slowly started like getting popular because people were finding it to be fun, and it was super simple. At the time, it didn't even have like onion skin or any of those basic little things that you need. And so since then, he did the plunge to work full time with Visual Blasters. That's the name of our company.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. I mean, and he went in actually full time before FlipaClip. So while he was full time trying to make something out of it, and super entrepreneurial and saving as much as he could, And always him and I dreaming like I can jump in, but I have a wife and a kid at the time, and it's like hard to do that because my wife, I don't think that she's going to appreciate that. So anyways, long story short, finally we made it. And FlipaClip was definitely the provider to be able to make it happen. And, and today we're over, I think it's 16 or 17 people. And it's a lean team, but for us, it's like huge, where we've been.
Tell me about the defining moment where you decided, yeah, I'm going to go in this full time now. What convinced you?
So what convinced me is that, you try to surround yourself with the right people. And whether it's family, friends, you always want to surround with people that will cheer you, right? And believe in you. And I think saying those words, I believe in you, like I believe in you, Terry, that you're going to take these podcasts and make it even bigger, in the next year. Like, isn't that a good feeling when somebody
feels great?
So I had people do that to me, and there's like huge power in that, in believing people. And that's how we grew with my parents, like them believing in us and thinking that we will accomplish things. And we were super poor, but it never felt like that, the love. So anyways, kind of got sidetracked on that one.
What convinced you to quit your job and say, I'm going all in on FlipaClip?
Sorry, yeah.
I've got a wife, I've got kids.
By the way, it's been a long day because we had to do some pictures, and then I have an awesome team that we're going back and forth. So anyways, the plunge here it wasn't just from one day to another. We worked hard for maybe 4 years of just side job being this and not getting paid at all, but I'm just investing all my time in it and believing in it. And what makes us happy is when we see that comment, that person that says, thank you. And we're like, thank you for what? We just made something super simple, but it's that satisfaction, that it makes you feel like, okay, what we done is great. So that in itself, finally, when FlipaClip started to be like, okay, FlipaClip could support me full time with base minimum, but it's enough to say like, okay, because it's what I worked for other companies and put my full effort, and I got promises and all kinds of things, but it never happened. Right. And I'm like, why can't I just do that for my own self? And all of the investment and everything that I put in, at least I know that at some point it's going to happen. You just believe in it. So the plunge wasn't just a quick thing. I'm more reserved. It takes me time to do that. Yeah. But as I grow older and we start like being more aggressive on things, I think through the years you do the best. That's one thing I learned from this Italian old man. He's like, and I told him, I was young, like I thought I was going to be like the best in the world and everything. And he's like, listen, remember this. He's like, if your job is cleaning bathrooms, he's like, make sure that the people that know you, that you work there, they remember you as being the best cleaner ever in that bathroom. That because of Marcos, this bathroom was always the best. And so what I learned from there is like, do your best at what it is currently that you're doing. And don't just think about the future and be like, oh, I can't wait. And you don't do your effort. And I think there was a good learning there. Always do your best at where you're at and continue to power through it, because you will eventually get to where you want, or you'll be surprised where you can go.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Do the best in your current situation, because, you'll probably enjoy what you're doing a little bit more, but also, you open up opportunities that you might not have otherwise, just from other people seeing that you're doing such a great job and connecting with people. I really like what you said about, when you were like looking at what you were doing in your current job and saying like, I've gotten so many promises and like, I'm still in the same place. And then thinking like, why don't I do that for myself? Because that's actually what convinced me to switch into animation. I thought, if I can end up in the business world with something I'm not even extremely internally passionate about, where can I end up with something that I'm extremely internally passionate about? But I'm wondering, you said you were working for 4 years without pay on one thing. That's a very long time to believe in yourself and not see tangible results that might, give you a reason to continue. What was keeping you? Because, you know, there's so many, I also feel like, you know, there's so many people with personal side projects that they work on for years, and, you know, it might not go anywhere, but they keep working on it, or it might go somewhere and they are working on it. What compelled you to work on this one thing and really believe in it? Because, you know, looking back, you know, it's been successful now. You quit your job, you have a team of 16, 17 people. So it worked out. But what was it about this idea and not like the audio app, the podcast app, that made you say yes for so long?
So the audio app was the one that gave me the hint that I was in the right spot of what I was doing. Why? Because it did end up being like app of the month in Google, and that was huge for us. And we were like, okay, this is the right thing. My brother and I are good partners. We can work together. People might say like, well, family, you know, you shouldn't work with family, but we complement each other so well. Like the stuff that he knows, I don't know. And the stuff that I know, he doesn't know. But he's also like the biggest nerd that you can find, but he's the biggest creative also. And that's really hard to find in a developer in that mindset. So we enjoyed so much working together that's what really kept me believing that we could do bigger things, you know, and have fun. And we have many other ideas for other apps. It's just that we haven't had the bandwidth. Just, you know, we haven't even accomplished, like for FlipaClip, seriously, we probably accomplished like 50% of what we want to really do with it. So that through time and working together, to me, and my wife's support, believing in me and other people, and little recognitions here and there that we got even with the audio app, was a good thing to feel like, okay, we believe in this. And then FlipaClip, as it began, and I saw what people were creating on YouTube, I'm like, I love animation, I love motion graphics, I love production, I love live action, I love all this stuff. I'm like, I hope that this one day gets to it. So I'm going to do my best that I can to create the graphic design, the UI, the think up about like the user experience. And so in my full-time job that I had, I would always try to see where my career could lead me to get me closer to what I was doing. And 2015, 16, that was like super hard in my career because I was being a motion graphic designer, but I wanted to do more. I like the interaction side of things. And how can I, so I got into interaction design and then project management, and I didn't know, and I was having a hard time, but it was so important. And I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I went through that tough transition, you know? So yeah, that's like my brother and the success of certain things that we were doing really started tying it in, you know, to say like, stick around, don't give up. You'll get.
I was wondering if you had like maybe a certain tie to the animation industry, and you knew that maybe it was going to be trending for everybody with their iPads and, you know, laptops and phones, whatever, to start animating. But it sounds more like this, you know, organic given like feedback loop that you were in, where you were enjoying what you're doing, then you see other people using it, making cool things, and that gives you, you know, internalized like confirmation, and it kept building and building and building. Do you think if you were working, like if it wasn't taking off slowly over time, you wouldn't have built this? I'm just wondering, like, you know, at the end of the day, what do you want to accomplish with just, you know, what you're doing? Because you said you have other app ideas. FlipaClip's at 50% of what you want it to be at. Like, what is the thing at the end of the day that you wanted to be doing when you were just on this self journey of figuring out?
I think at the end of the day, for me, is I want to feel like everybody else, I think, useful, and that I'm making an impact on people as much as I can. And I grew up from Argentina, and up north, super poor area. And what fuels me to know that I'm in the right spot is we threw a contest, and we had this Mexican kid who won one of these contests. And it was crazy to know that he was in a very remote area of Mexico with barely access to the internet on his phone. And he wins a contest. And we promised that we were going to send like swag and different things. and we were just naive, to send things out like international to cost you like more than, anyways. So I had to reach out to him or his parents because he was 14 at the time. And they gave me the address and to put it in Google and to send, anyways, long story short, I like zoom in and I'm like, this is all dirt roads. There's no paved roads. I'm like, this reminds me where I came from. And so anyways, long story short, you fast forward today, he's in a production animation house.
Oh my
working
goodness.
full time. It's just crazy to see those stories.
Yeah.
So when you see that it's making an impact in the world with what you do, it's not just, oh, I love this and I want to continue to do or make money. Yeah, welcome to make money, definitely, because you want to support your family. But if it's making an impact by you having fun, how cool is that? Like for you, it's the same thing. You're having fun making these podcasts, but you're touching lives, you're using that medium to touch other lives. Totally. So to me, that's what fuels definitely what I do.
Yeah, I feel just emotional listening to you speak because animation has traditionally, since it was invented, been such a extremely high cost of entry thing. And you've made available something that's broken down these barriers for literally anybody in the world. And just hearing this story of this kid in, Mexico on a dirt road using your app to, showcase a talent that if your app didn't exist, he might not have been able to do something like that's. And now he's working in the industry. That's fantastic.
He became a YouTuber, and has thousands and thousands of followers and community organically. It's just so overall like very positive, and encouraging. And so we look at ourselves too. Last year we got together and we were like doing some serious like looking back and like, how are we doing? What's happening, And we realized like internally, this is the first time that we say it out loud really, but it's like, we feel that the app is more than just an app because there are so many cool stories behind it and how we want to follow that. And then we also call it like, it's like an entertainment powerhouse. And it's an entertainment powerhouse. And let me give you more context just to see so many influencers that whether they have millions of followers or 10 followers, they are influencing so many more new animators. And just to see like all the creations that they do using FlipaClip, that's why I'm like internally, we're like, that is so cool. It's like an entertainment powerhouse, really, because you can see memes, soundbite audios to fully like, anime styles to rotoscoping big on TikTok. Just like there's so many styles, animation has so many different languages of styles that you can just go with. So
totally, I'm just enjoying listening to you tell these stories. Do you have an idea of kind of your user base? Like, is it a predominantly like kids, or is it like, big in education, or just, somebody sitting, like the average user just kind of like sitting at home? Like, I don't know what you can even tell about your
No, we can tell you. Yeah, we're super open. Do you want to give me a guess really quick for like the ages, like percentages?
I would say like 6 to 15 is like a big market, but just based on my guess.
No, you're not too far. So 18 and younger, it's 70%.
Wow.
About 70%.
Yeah, because what else? Like it's super inexpensive.
And like so we don't have a majority of professionals. It's not even 1%. And because I've seen professionals use it mixed up with certain things, or they might use it more for animatics,
Yeah.
But it doesn't have all the tools that you would want for a professional animator, maybe. But then it also kind of challenges you to be super creative. Like maybe stop motion is, where you use a certain tool to hold your character. But then if you don't have that tool, what else are you going to use? So anything that you have around you, you use. But so anyways, FlipaClip it used to be about 60% female, but it's now like started to balance that out.
Wow.
But definitely we see a lot of females, using it, and it's super cool. Like and even seeing schools using it. And we ended up finally last year making it so that it's easier for schools to get it, because they have certain programs on how they implement this. But imagine like teaching kids biology using an animation app, and they're not teaching animation, they're teaching biology or physics. So for biology, the kids are learning. So it's like almost like PowerPoint. And so, but they end up animating, say cells in the blood.
Yeah, I was just thinking like
how does that work? So they're animating these things while they're narrating that in FlipaClip. Or really physics, cool. You see like a feather or a wheel spinning, or there's just, these teachers are finding clever ways to, so, we all learn visually, even the words that you memorize, those are just shapes that you're memorizing, so it's the same thing with these kids, so they put them into a movie to present what they've learned. So it's really clever to see how that's being used.
Totally. So you mentioned before, that the app is kind of 50% of where you want it now. What is the state that for you it's 100% complete? Like, what is the idea around what it becomes?
Yeah. So today, the team grew bigger this year because we're focusing more on one-to-one messaging and talking with the creator. We don't even call them users. I try to tell everybody in the company, you do not say user, it's creators. Because I feel like it gives you more empathy to understand who's on the other side. It's a human person.
Yeah. A human person.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I know. Blame it on my second language.
I'm sorry.
I love it. No, but it's being able to communicate and understand like what's your skill level, where you're at, and we want to help you learn content. We have a new section in the app called Discover, and within maybe this or next week, we're going to launch a whole new set of sections in the Discover where there's tutorials, inspirational content, just to get beginners up and running, and slowly maybe gamify it as you like learn more. You get these points, and instead of spending a lot of time playing video games, you're just creating content, but at the same time you're earning things. But we want to do it in a way that it's super healthy. I have kids, so I'm very like aware of what's happening on social, because we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter and YouTube. So it's like really like there's a balance there.
Totally. So like once you've learned the 12 principles of animation and like copied the bounce and the timing and whatever, you unlock like a new layer or something.
Right, exactly. And FlipaClip, you could basically go from beginning to end without paying. Yeah, you'll get bombarded with ads, and we're actually minimizing that. We're working really hard on doing that. Also safety, like I told you, I have kids, so it's super important to do that. But the other crazy thing is too, like being recognized by Apple or being in one of their commercials, or when they talk about performance, they use the app as an example. It's like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And we're in contact with them, and there are certain things. But anyways, reaching that other 50% it's a lot of understanding of who the creator is, at what level they're at, how can we help them grow and get to Pixar, get to create content or become a YouTuber. I don't know, but just do the more basic foundation that you would need to get started. And then there's like a social aspect, big time. And I can't share too much yet, but there's like some exciting. It's not reinventing the wheel, like to become another social channel to like and look, totally. But just playing around with other things that it's going to be, I think, exciting. We are actually adding new features like brush. For the longest time, like if you look at all the comments that come through the App Store, Google Play, YouTube, TikTok, the top number one is, we want brushes. And I'm like, I know, we do too. But
you're like, Tim and Jonah, can you work on this, please?
They haven't actually. And they've been showing me some stuff. So, we started this, we love engaging with people. So I think that's another important thing, is that when you engage with your followers or your creators or whoever it is, there's a good human side there that it just creates more love towards the brand. And you can't buy that with money, it's just listening and providing what people need, or they didn't know that they need it, and we help them with that. So that's what we're working towards, engagement. And so we do have these little shows once a week now that we just started. We're not the best host ever, but on YouTube. And this last time we had like over 20,000 people coming in and joining to hear like a tutorial or something.
Oh,
fine.
wow.
We're just like, okay, we're just drinking coffee. You bring your hot chocolate, whatever, and let's just talk. And so it's really neat to inspire others, and to engage.
So these once a week shows, they're like tutorials on how to animate, or just like, are you talking with creators?
It could be tutorials, it could be talking to an animator, but it's mainly to show you behind the scenes as a business, or but in a more, like, imagine you're a kid, how would you like to hear about it? And like some kids might go on the App Store and say like, bad word you and this and that. And then when we go and respond, I'm sorry that you had an issue there. What's happening there? Oh, I thought, I didn't know there was a human on the other side. Right? But it's really neat, to start that conversation.
So then when they learn it's just 3 brothers and 13 other people.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about growing the team. Like you went all in on this animation app with your brothers, and then you just grew as needed. Like what is the breakdown of the team? Is it mostly developers? Is it?
Yeah. We like to be super frugal. We don't have investors or anything like that investing in the company. Usually that's
good.
Yeah, it's super good. And so when investors come or people offer to purchase the app or whatever it is, or buy us out, they're surprised of how we did it. Like they're like, you're doing it backwards, but that's like so good. And we're like, I don't know. And it's accidental too, that people started liking the app, because we weren't promoting it. It's just that it was word of mouth, literally. So sorry, let me go back to, what was your question again?
Well, I'm just wondering, you see the FlipaClip icon on the App Store, or you're using it. Like, what do you want people to know about the behind the scenes? Because you mentioned you have this weekly interview, and like,
and how we
I learned that you were just 3 brothers with a bunch of people working together, and it sounds like you're just like chill time.
Yeah. So first of all, we've done everything ourselves, from setting up the camera to animating maybe a little bit in FlipaClip, or contacting another animator out of where was it, Qatar, or where he's like he won one of the animations using FlipaClip. So I'll be like, hey, you need to help me, but it needs to be FlipaClip. You can't use any other app, because if not, it defeats the purpose. And he's like, okay, fine. And so, but I've been doing a lot myself, my brother. And so what we started doing, it's like, okay, we need to duplicate ourselves in different areas, or there are specific areas in the business that we're not necessarily super good at, and let's invest in that. And so we feel good about bringing everybody that is working in the company. They're like, it doesn't matter what age you are, what background, everybody's just super creative, and it works towards that. So slowly we've been bringing people to replace a certain area that I would be doing, So for example, motion graphics, I stopped doing that, but every once in a while I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop, but I can jump in whenever I want. Okay. And this, but we brought this guy, his name is Ryan, and he is like amazing animator. He's done some things for Rick and Morty. And so like to have this guy has like an amazing portfolio. I don't have a portfolio. I've done motion graphics, but I don't have anything huge. But just to see someone like that and being able to be super creative and open, you start seeing like the value of expanding your team with that. So by having these live shows, I got the inspiration from Evernote app. I don't know if you've ever heard of Evernote.
Yeah.
But they used to do some of these live shows to tell people like what's coming up or what we're working on. And I think that's good, because if it's word of mouth, that's kind of cool to engage with them and be super honest. Like, Gary V.
Banner
he's actually another guy who like helped me make the plunge. I
Really?
Followed him when he used to do the wine library, like way
Oh,
back.
right. Yeah, he did that like what for like 1,000 episodes or something? Maybe
Yeah.
not 1,000, but
And then one day I'm like, wait, he's doing an agency thing? What? And so I started following him, and I emailed him once, and I'm like, whatever. And that was around my time when I was struggling in my career. And he's like,
yeah.
you're ready to make the plunge.
Yeah.
And then from that, it took me a year and a half or so to finally make the plunge. So that's side note. But yeah, that's showing people what's behind the scenes, like the brushes. Like, listen, we are creating the brushes. We're not going to promise you when it's going to be done, but we're working as fast as we can. So in one of these live shows or whatever, we're going to show people some examples of like making sparkle brushes, or like where you can bring a stamp that is in color and different things. There's different mixtures of different apps that people usually go to, and we're just mixing them, and it's super cool to see that.
Nice.
Probably
yeah, I love it. No, I love that you're pretty agile with like, listening to your customers and your creators. And
yeah, thank you.
Deliver what they want. I think that's great. And also like, I think what you've built is super valuable. And like, I'm on Reddit and Newgrounds and whatever all the time. And I always see like, there's somebody posting their first there. It's like, especially on the subreddit, like our animation, it's like, this is my first animation ever. Like it's like the most rudimentary thing. And it's so special. And then you see the FlipaClip little logo on the side and you're like, that's what they're using. So
yeah, speaking of the logo, it's just, yeah.
Like everybody that animates wants to tell a story in some capacity, and like showing off your animation is a huge part of that. And I think that's great, that you run these contests and you're trying to showcase more animators and stuff too. I'm wondering, I have a random question, like me, like being in the industry for a few years and using professional tools like Toon Boom and whatnot, what would compel me to go and use FlipaClip, like me as in the industry, I guess, as a whole?
Yeah, I think I'm not going to try to convince you.
No, but I'm just, I'm just wondering.
But
like, I haven't.
But what I would say is this, and you've done this, right? You've done this to beginners, and where you tell them about it. And I always use this example. I think that FlipaClip is one of the doors into the world of animation.
Yeah.
You open that door, you get a little taste, which is super simple, and it's super minimized. I think sometimes we can appreciate when you learn something, give me what I need to know first. Don't give me the whole thing, and then I don't know where to start. I remember when I was trying to learn After Effects, I'm like, where do I create a new, like, it's not file. You go somewhere else to do composition new or something like that. So it's like a different menu area. So I always think about like, how is it easy to get started? So, in a way we say it's for beginners and pros, but really it comes down to a beginner,
Yeah.
Now, for the professional one, I think you should give it a try, as far as like, because you're limited, it kind of helps creativity. Like you're limited. It's almost like a challenge. If you like challenges, you could go that route. Or how people do rotoscoping, where if you do rotoscoping in After Effects, you can do it and it will look like super hot and all that stuff. But there's another way to do it, maybe in FlipaClip, and it's super quick and simple. And it's not vector, it's all bitmap, but it's interesting, the results that you get. And it's always going to be unique, because there's no such thing as that particular same effect or the same shape that you bring all the time.
Totally. I'm also thinking like, how have you been impacted by like apps like Procreate implementing animation as well? Because like, now they've created there's so many users using Procreate already, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it's great to have more people out there, or more apps out there, creating a tool that people can enjoy and have fun. I love Procreate, the results that you can get, and they're not using Photoshop or Illustrator. It's just quick, right to the point. Yeah, maybe it's a bit more for the pro, but also what you see there, and then also from the animation side, it's a different concept, but at the end of the day, it's about you telling a story and where you feel comfortable and what tool you use. Like I've used 3D Studio Max, After Effects, what was the other 3D program? But there's
Maya,
Premiere,
Blender.
Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, whatever. And from the animation side, I like to mix it up. I like to do something where people can't tell necessarily what it is that I used, So I tell people, go mix it up, FlipaClip. Mix it up. Like I do sometimes like some transitions with FlipaClip that are super cool because it's just lines and, or it's not perfect drawing. People ask for like a stabilizer line so it looks more smoother or it looks smoother. That's something actually that we're working on, but it's really raw. That's what it comes out. But then to see what people create, it's just crazy.
Oh, I love this. And well, I've super enjoyed listening to your personal story and how you ended up here. I think it's really interesting that you and your brothers were like, let's create some apps, and you created this podcast app, and then they were like, there's this contest, and meanwhile 10 years later you have like a super million base user app that's entry point to animators all over the world. I think that's amazing. I'm wondering, if there's somebody listening and maybe FlipaClip was their entry point or they haven't heard of it before or whatnot. Well, is there anything else that you kind of wanted to say that might be interesting to hear about, or any?
Yeah, like I told you before the interview started, to me, I care more about like the question that everybody asks, like what's in it for me when I'm watching it. And hopefully you get inspired mainly more by believe in yourself. Like if you believe that the animation that you're creating or the story that you're going to be pitching or whatever it is, don't give up. Keep going at it. If people tell you like, no, that's not you, blah, blah, don't listen to them. Just
Didn't you say you had a teacher who was like, oh, you're terrible at programming, you're never going to make it or something?
Yeah, I had a teacher that said, you're going to suck at communications. You're not going to be good at anything related to creative stuff. And I was in high school. Like what teacher goes and tells like, okay, maybe I was a rotten kid or something, but that doesn't justify to be so.
And it's so funny how, this one thing this teacher said to you is still in your memory and brain, like, I don't know how many years later, like 20 years later or something.
Yeah. Crazy. And that wasn't the only time. When I was working at an animation house in Argentina, there was some other guy that used to do the animation, and he was not a vendor. What do you call him?
In-betweener?
Yeah, something like that. But he wasn't working there. They were paying him his business to provide the animation for this production house. And I started doing the animation, and he's like, "You're gonna suck at this. You're not good at this. You shouldn't even try it." And I was like, really? So I just went for it, and I ended up like just taking over his stuff, or they didn't need him.
Putting him out of business.
And I ended up doing like 3D Studio Max, which I taught myself how to how to use. But I think overall, my concept is like, how can we make a super simple app or design? But
but believe in yourself and use, when people put you down, use that as fuel to go harder, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. And okay, allow yourself to cry that day, but the next day, move on. Yeah. It's okay to feel sorry for yourself, at least for one day. Don't let it go further.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share, maybe as we're wrapping up this chat a little bit, like maybe a philosophy? I already feel like I already know what it is, but like that's kept you going all these years and propelled you into this now.
I think I've said probably the things that I would like for people to listen to. Don't give up. Surround yourself with people that would cheer you, and if they're not cheering you, that's just
I think that's important, especially for animators, because we can be such like introverted silos as well, and we take every piece of criticism to like heart, and if you compliment us 100 times, we're like, oh, whatever.
So my dad once told me, like, people are going to give you criticism, and he's like, you learn to give constructive criticism, because there's a difference there. But if somebody's criticizing, even to that point, see if there's any truth in any of that stuff, and take the good and throw the bad, but just be very conscious about it, and don't react immediately,
So if somebody's criticizing you, you really try to understand if there is some truth behind that. as well.
Yeah, like
that makes sense.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, especially in the beginning where if you don't have a name and you're trying to make yourself known or it's don't give up, keep trying. It's a beauty that we have social media today. Like when we started, social media wasn't a big thing. And so, but today, we can be like YouTubers with the app. The app is a YouTuber today. And it's like kind of cool to experiment that, but be consistent, try things out, it's better to try and fail than not trying, like it's just keep trying until you find your niche, your
it's almost what happened with you when you were experimenting different types of roles, and when you found this, and now you've since you've been in this, you've clearly thrived, and you're going places as we speak. I think it's amazing.
but I, like I said, I want to have you in one of our live shows, because I know I love, I know there's a group of people here too that love stop motion, and I love stop motion. In fact, it's something that we're also might be part of the 50% that we have left over. But it's like, it's so close, right?
Yeah.
It's so close. So if there were certain features and maybe the interface changes just to make it available for that, why not?
Totally. But all you have to do is add a camera, a live camera. You snap
like a live camera, and have
you would even have, you would maybe be one of the only, I guess the only app where you can also draw 2D on top of your stop motion at the same time if you integrate it. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Think of another program that does that, actually.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we were almost close to just go for it.
Yeah.
But we were like, wait, we need to work on a good foundation,
Totally,
for the app that you come in and you can be, you can learn the right tutorials and things like that. And then we can just move forward.
100%. Well, do you have any final words as we're wrapping up, Marcos?
No, that's it. I really appreciate you, Terry. Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed this.
Of course, I've really enjoyed chatting, and I super love that you and your brothers have created something that's been for myself as well, an entry level into animation, which was unheard of because the barriers are so high even just a few years ago. So I commend you for that and say thank you as well. Thank you.
I'll thank to the accidental success. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Marcos. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. And if you're listening and you want to follow FlipaClip or get in touch with them, you can do so by checking them out on Instagram. And I'll include Instagram.com/FlipaClip, and I'll include a link to that in the description of this chat. And thank you so much for listening. And that's all for now. Okay, bye. The music for this podcast was composed by Will Farmer and the graphics by Daniel Abensauer. I encourage you to look them up if you enjoyed their work.